name is Matt Scott, and I'm a freelance trombone player and teacher around the Atlanta area. Now, first, when we're talking about this etude, I'd like to speak about articulation. Now, to go into articulation, we really need to talk about what articulation is and how do we do it. So, to do that, go ahead and say the word table. Table. And when you're saying this, focus on having a nice crisp T at the front of the word, table. Next, let's isolate that first letter and say T, T. Now, what we're actually doing when we articulate is we're taking our tongue and we're putting it on the back of our top teeth, and then we're creating a seal where no air can exit our mouth. Then what we're doing is we're building up a little bit of air pressure, and then we're taking our tongue and releasing it back and down like a snake as fast as we can, making sure that we have nice and fast air coming out of our mouth whenever we release our tongue. So try that a few times with those 3 steps. Then try and put it on the horn with no sound, just air. Then add an F. Again, focusing on a nice, clear, crisp articulation. One thing that I hear in a lot of young students is what's called a fwa or a balloon attack, and it sounds something like this. What that is, it's really can be caused by 2 different things. The first is using your tongue and articulating the way we're talking about, but having your air be just a little bit too slow at the beginning of the note. So make sure that whenever your tongue releases, that air is moving 100 miles an hour out of your mouth. Another reason that I hear this a lot is every once in a while I'll hear a little bit of air before the tongue. So make sure that I don't hear air come out of your mouth before the tongue actually articulates. Next, let's go ahead and look at this etude and see that we see 3 different types of articulation. We see tenutos with accents over them, and we see staccatos. Now, really, there's not a huge difference in length between a tenuto and a legato. They're both 100% of the value of the note. The biggest difference is in the front of the note, whereas a legato has a da tongue, kind of sounds like this. A tenuto has a ta tongue, sounds like this. So it's just a little bit firmer of a front. Now the tenutos with accents over them have the same front of an accent, but they have the length of a tenuto, and they sound something like this. And naturally, the staccatos are 50% note, 50% space. Now, another thing I'd like to at least mention in here is the fact that we have quite a few different dynamics. Now, the tendency is going to be to have a nice, crisp, strong articulation in these fuller dynamics, like the forte that we have in bar 1. However, in bar 3, we go down to a mezzo piano. Now, it's very important that our articulations, when we get to these softer dynamics, don't get softer. Okay, so when we get down to these softer dynamics, make sure that our air is still moving fast enough to where we get that nice crisp articulation and we can tell exactly where each note starts. Finally, let's talk about phrasing and expression. Let's take the first 2 bars. Now, there's a couple different ways that we could play this. We could play it something like toe, 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 but it's not really that exciting. It's a little bit boring. Or we could play toe, 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 toe. That's got a little bit more life in it, and we're still doing the articulations that are marked and the dynamics that's marked as well. Also, we can go ahead and look at the end and see that there's a retardando going into a fermata, and after the fermata, we have a retardando to the end. It's very important to make sure that this retardando fermata, and again, the retardando to the very end, is natural and organic, and is not too much too soon, and is very, very gradual, so that it sounds like it's consistent with the style of the overall piece. Now, good luck and happy practicing.